In this week's Louisiana Speaks, meet the new Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, Madison Sheahan. The Ohio native landed the role after serving on Governor Jeff Landry's transition team. She previously worked for former President Donald Trump and with South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem before moving to Louisiana. I talked to Sheahan about her vision for managing and maintaining Louisiana's status as a sportsman's paradise. I am joined by Madison Sheahan, the Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of viewers are eager to meet you. So you took over the position in January. What drew you to this job? It's a big one as Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries.
It's a great step in my career, and it's really an extraordinary opportunity. And I think really what the governor was asking me to do is to really bring new ideas to the department. So as many of us know, there was a lot of issues in the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries in the past, and there's no need to relitigate those. But what we do know is that it was time to rebuild and rebrand, but also to bring the modern professional department that the people of Louisiana deserved.
So what are your priorities?
So every day we work on projects like our artificial reef program and be able to make sure that we're impacting the opportunities for our fishermen. We just put forth an opportunity with our Wildlife and Fisheries Commission to expand a shark season. We know that's impacted a lot of the recreational fishermen, but we also, on the other side of that, like I mentioned, a bear season, be able to put forth a bear season in the state of Louisiana. This is the first time this has been done since the 80s. And not only did we get a species off of the endangered species list, but we're also putting it forth for a hunting season. And we see the impact that's going to have both economically, but also on a sportsman standpoint for the people of Louisiana.
What other expanded hunting opportunities are we going to see in the immediate future?
The other thing that we're working on is a black-belly whistling duck opportunity with the federal level. And so what we're looking at there is we know that the black-belly whistling duck has put a lot of pressure on our agriculturists as well as on our communities and really kind of become a nuisance in some areas of the state. And our job is to manage that species. And so in doing that, what we want to do is make sure that we promote as much opportunity for our hunters as possible.
You inherited some controversial projects when you took over leadership of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, one of which is Lake Maurepas. That's state wildlife and fisheries land, and there is a carbon capture project in the works. There's been a lot of vocal criticism and concern about potential environmental and public health threats. Where does the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries stand at the moment with this project?
So where we sit at the project is we are the ones who help with the permitting process and some of the land processes, but what we don't do is we don't own the water bottom. So that's the Office of State Lands. And so a lot of the conversations that's very controversial is really a conversation that needs to be had between Air Products and state lands. But what I can tell you is there was a fish kill on the property, and we worked directly with Air Products to come up with a restitution, and they were very gracious in the fact that they came back, worked with us, and have been a very good partner in actually restocking some of those properties. And so that's really where we sit with the relationship with them, but a lot of that conversation is really to be had with state lands.
With the Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion project, that's the freshwater diversion, big project, could be the largest I think in our history in terms of restoration and rebuilding, but a lot of controversy there. And the concern is that it is going to harm wildlife and marine life. What is the department's role in that project and in mitigating potential damage to wildlife and fisheries?
So we currently sit on the Louisiana Trustee Implementation Group. It's commonly known as the TIG, and this is a program that they use to really look at and identify these projects and how they affect our coastal lands. And so being a member of that, we play a role in it, but it's really not our project. It's mostly a CPRA project or even a parish project. And so we're monitoring it because we want to make sure, again, when you're talking about the balance of the commercial industry and the recreational industry, but also how the commercial industry interacts with different organizations, and we want to make sure we're a voice for the commercial industry, and we've made sure that there's about $300 million set aside to actually help with mitigation dollars dollars, whether that's purchasing fishing equipment or making sure that the studies are done correctly. We have a priority in the department to make sure that all of that money goes directly to the folks who need it, directly to our commercial industries that are going to be affected by this.
And another exciting project that we'll be following is Port Wonder.
It's going to be a great thing for the city of Lake Charles. I work actively with Mayor Nick Hunter, and so we're very excited about those projects. We've got a section of our own that is there in Port Wonder. It's very educational based. You're going to be able to go through whether it's our touch tanks or actually seeing firsthand the reef fish as well as our bayou tanks, and really kind of getting a firsthand experience of what we do on a daily basis as a department and how our science affects the people of Louisiana and why it's so important for us to do right by that. And we'll also have a fishing pier just off of the lake there, and hopefully get a lot of people out hunting and fishing. It's very youth engaged. We're really excited about that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here in studio, and to introduce yourself to our viewers, welcome.
Thank you.